Welcome back to Pro Tour Dark Ascension. Here we are with Mr. Raphaël in the TCGplayer.com shirt, and Raph has only got one loss in Standard with a very nice deck, lots of fun. It's a little bit different to your straight ahead attacking for 2. You're attacking for a lot more than 2 most of the time.
I'm trying to attack for 1 million.
Yeah. Okay, so what would you call the deck? What a 5-color reanimator or something?
The deck is called FRitres, which you can shorten with Frites.
Frite
or Frites.
Okay.
Choose whatever.
Sure. And where does it come from? Who was the
original idea comes from Emmanuel Vernay.
Okay, now that is a guy who won the first ever Magic the Gathering Grand Prix back in 1997.
A couple of weeks ago, came to me, said, "Okay, Raph, I have a good deck for you. We have to test it. We have to play it. Let's work on it."
Okay.
So we've been working since then.
And this is what we end up with. So let's start with the top row and cards you'll all be familiar with. Avacyn's Pilgrim, Birds of Paradise, and a 9th mana accelerant. It's a Llanowar Elf. It makes the cut as a one-of. So just talk us through the balance there.
Like you need the first turn 1 bird, turn 1 elf.
Yep.
And you also need 9 guys that you can get from the Tracker's Instinct.
Okay.
Because when you cast this guy, when you cast this spell, you want to either have this in the graveyard, you want to put it in the graveyard because you have to take one.
Okay.
So you need one of these to put it in your hand and play it on the same turn.
All right. So 9 mana accelerants. The core of the deck is along this second row. So talk us through. Let's go one by one. First off, what's this in English?
Mulch.
Mulch. All right. So we get to look at the top 4, reveal the top 4, and the lands we keep, and the spells go away to the graveyard. But they don't really go away in this deck, do they?
You never really miss. Like when you reveal top 4, even if you put all of them in your graveyard, there's gonna be at least a couple of spells you want in there. Okay. Either a guy or a flashback spell. The lands are good, and they also fix your mana since you're 5 colors.
Okay, so then we move up and we've got Tracker's Instinct. So tell us what that does for you. It's a flashback spell, so you get value out of it. So tell us what it does for the deck.
So it does. You get a bird or an accelerator, or another flashback spell in the graveyard, or you can choose to get one of your fatties in your hand.
Sure.
And it bruises your deck to finally, with Mulches, get to the Unburial Rites, which will allow you to reanimate your guys.
Okay, so that's 2, again, that we're loading up the graveyard, finding what we need. And then we have Faithless Looting, which was a hot card in Dark Ascension that people were trying to work out how to use. It's an odd card because if you're a newer player, it looks like things go wrong with it. It's like you lose the card, and then it's parallel. So you're -1 initially, but of course that's not what it's doing.
You get so much, if you're in terms of card advantage, you get so much card advantage from this and this, from Mulch and Tracker's Instinct. That doesn't really matter.
Okay.
And when you're going to reanimate an Elesh Norn or a Titan or whatever, you're going to get it back anyway.
Okay.
And then it allows you to discard an Elesh Norn to reanimate it, to discard anything. It also works really well with the sideboard when you have all the flashback cards that might not be useful. You just discard Ancient Grudge or whatever, and then you'll keep it for later.
All right. So we've got our acceleration. We've started working our way through the deck. We've put things into our graveyard. Then here we have Unburial Rites. This itself has flashback, so you get 2 goes at this if you want it. And this brings back stuff.
Yes.
And that's where these kind of decks get really fun, because people like fatties, but people don't like spending 7 and 6 on them. Why not pay a lot less? So talk us through what you've got in the hello, I'm enormous and I beat you.
In this metagame, the Elesh Norn is by far the card you want on the board.
Yeah.
When you get it on the board, you just wrap the board and they just pray to survive the next few turns or have to wait to kill it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really happen in this format.
Because almost everything has 2 toughness or less, it seems, in most of the big decks.
There are very few creatures that survive Elesh Norn.
Yeah, okay. And it's interesting, we were talking before we came on air that Elesh Norn, it's a card that lots of people were trying to get into their decks as a one-of or 1 or 2 out of the sideboard, trying to squeeze their mana. But your deck is absolutely all about Elesh Norn. It's let's have fun.
You want to have Elesh Norn. And with Mulch, Tracker's Instinct, and Faithless Looting, you get through your decks like so fast. You're gonna have one, not 100% because never sure.
No.
but it's very likely that you'll get
It's
one
super
during the game.
reliable.
Yes, and it's also pretty likely that you'll have it in play at some point, unless it gets counters. But that's the whole game.
Sure, absolutely. So, if you don't get Elesh Norn, what sort of plan B? We've got a couple of Titan de la Fournaise,
Yeah, exactly.
so Inferno Titan, or the rather disappointingly English Wurmcoil Engine.
Probably one French somewhere. Anyway.
No,
probably not.
They're all
Okay.
very Wurmcoil Engine-y.
Well, you can actually play them, because with so many elves,
Yep.
you can play them on turn 3, turn 4, or turn 5.
Uh-huh.
And they're still a threat on the board.
Absolutely.
And also, if you can't get to reanimate Elesh Norn, you can gain a lot of time by playing Lingering Souls, which are pretty much free spells, since you'll
Okay.
put them in your graveyard through all these cards.
Okay, so the Lingering Souls is going to go into the graveyard, and you're just going to flash it back just for a couple of spare mana, basically, and it's functionally a fog a lot of the time. You're going to actually just go, no, I get another turn to set everything up.
Yes.
What goes wrong with the deck? What can you end up, I guess, where you just, I mean, it feels like it's so smooth. I'm trying to see where the windows are to attack it.
It's very consistent.
Yeah.
The problem is, well, there are problems. The mana is really good, but if you know how to play against the deck, like, you're gonna kill this guy, which is
Bolt the bird,
Yeah,
as
the
we
bird.
say.
The one problem is the white mana from this card.
Okay.
You have some white manas, but sometimes you don't have it, and when you lose, it's often because you don't have the white mana to cast it, to flash it back.
Right. Okay.
And the force land, like, you have a lot of scar lands,
Yep.
and sometimes you don't have the 4 mana that the force lands comes into play and tap.
Sure.
That's why the basic lands are for.
All right.
That's what the basic lands are for.
So, I mean, it is a pretty greedy deck in as much as it's a base. It's like one of those old 5-color green decks that we remember from the late 90s. But you have got green, you have got red that you want to cast, you've got black you want to cast, you've got white you want to cast. So it is a deck that needs lots of mana. Let's just take a look, because I know you want to build this at home. Let's just talk our way through. You can have a look. Copperline Gorge, full set, 4 set of Blackcleave Cliffs, and then on we go with black-blue. You've got green-white coming across your Razorverge Thicket, single red-green from M10 there. Then you've got basic, and a bunch of forests. So that's your mana base. And also, again, we know you want to build and test this when it comes out on Magic Online. Let's have a quick look at the sideboard as well. So I guess a full selection, again, of fat guys that you can just sort of trade in and out with your big guns. And then, now, for Ancient Grudge, you decided to really not like artifacts.
Like, you have, it's so effective. Like, it's actually 3 against most decks, like against more swords decks.
Sure.
And then the 4th one is just against Temper Steel. But the 4th one is just 1.
Okay.
These are like a must. The 4th one is just a little, you know.
Yeah, a little bit of insurance.
A little extra.
Okay, couple of memories, Journey, and then the full set.
No, it's 3 in 1.
Oh, sorry, there we go. And then you've got Ray of Revelation and Purification de la Tombe, which translates as?
Purify the Grave.
There you go. So those are your options in terms of sideboard. It's a very straightforward deck in terms of what it's trying to do. Aaron Forsyth, Director of R&D, was with us, and I'm looking at the deck, and it's like your deck's got 4 cards in it. It's got this card here, which is Mr. Acceleration, this card here, which is Search, this card here, which is Massive Guy Gonna Kill You, and this card here to make sure that this guy here gets into play. Yeah. It's a 4-card deck.
Pretty much.
But it's a pretty sweet trick when it works, and it's working a lot for Raphael Levy. Can't let you go without one more word. We're back into Standard now and pushing along, possibly towards top 50, top 25, and the all-time lifetime pro points lead. Be pretty amazing, right?
I'll do my best.
Okay, well, keep on trucking. From tcgplayer.com, Mr. Raphael Levy, I'm your host, Rich Hagen, saying bye.